Welcome to Popcorn History with the Freeborn County Historical Museum, Library, and Village. I'm Stephanie Kibler, Executive Director here at the museum, along with Risha Lilienthal, Curator, and joining us is Reggie Bauer.
In between jobs, but still the button pusher here.
Yay!
Oh man, I was going to go Radio Pro Extraordinaire.
We can go with that too.
Anyway, we're glad Reggie can join us. I don't start this one.
You don't start
you
this one.
You start this one.
Are we going to say what we did? What we popped?
Well,
yeah.
Sure, we can do that.
What were your words that you popped off
of?
We can give Reggie a preface here.
So we were going to send you our notes this time. Shame on us.
That's okay.
So when we do this, Risha and I sit down, and she throws out a word, and I throw out a word, and she throws out a word. So the 4 words for this episode.
Yep.
Sheriff's residence.
And then you said
fire. Risha said hotel. And I said horses.
That's an interesting popcorn.
I don't know why you made a weird face after I said hotel after fire, and then you said horses after hotel.
I know I had a reason, and now I'm going to have to start writing my reasons down because I've lost it.
It has escaped me.
But I think I know.
Okay, I think I know now after thinking about it.
Well, it's easy. Anyway, we're not on horses, so quit talking about my horses.
Yet. So, I started with Sheriff's Residence because we have a fireplace in the museum in the lawyer's office exhibit that was in the Sheriff's Residence. And because in Freeborn County, if you were elected sheriff, you moved into this house. There was a house for the sheriff.
Well, I thought it was an apartment.
Not as far as I know.
Okay.
No, it was the sheriff and or jailer's residence.
I thought it was an apartment above the jail.
No. I have a visual for you.
Interesting.
But so it started out in 1901. Commissioners Johnson, Woolbutter, and Brunden, they appointed a committee by the county board to secure plans for a new sheriff's residence. And they were recommending that the present quarters be torn down and a sightly, commodious residence and perhaps a new jail be erected at once. So that was 1901.
Commodious?
Yes. Like your commode?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a great
Isn't
word.
that a fun word?
That's a big word for Elmo.
Commodious.
Yeah. And so then in 1902, early 1902, they were taking bids for, building the residence. And N.C. Sorensen came in with the lowest bid. And so he got to do it. He put out $5,783.75 was his bid.
In 1902 money.
1902 money. Yep.
Probably a lot today.
I would assume so. But his was the lowest of all of the people that were bidding. So he got it. And in 1902, towards the end of the year, the new residence for the county jailer, so they kept going back and forth between calling it the jailer's residence and the sheriff's residence. So I don't know if that meant that the sheriff was the jailer. I don't think so, or it could mean that they both lived in this house, in this residence.
That'd be weird.
Right?
What if they were married? Not to each other.
Oh.
What if
Oh my God, they were roommates.
What if they had
They were
spouses?
roommates.
My gosh, it's just totally shut it. What if they had spouses? That would be weird.
Yeah. I don't know.
What if they were married?
Multi-family
I don't know.
house.
I think it was a while before you could be a woman in either of those occupations,
right?
Or B, there were like same-sex partner abilities,
Yeah. At least publicly.
Yeah.
I think there's always been ability.
Well, yes.
It's always been there.
Publicly, yes. But then, once they built the place... Oh, I was still on this part. Okay. So in 1902, the building was enclosed, and it was seen that the building presented a pleasing and effective architectural appearance. And it was in harmony with the style of the courthouse and was a fine addition to the group of imposing buildings that occupy grounds in the vicinity of the courthouse.
Imposing buildings.
But was it commodious?
I don't know. I do have a visual for the two of you here.
Ooh.
So it was right near the courthouse.
There?
Wow.
Over in the area kind of behind and
Okay,
to the
that's
corner.
not it.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's-
this is
Wow.
That was for the
Oh.
sheriff. And it was there until 1976. So it was there for a long time.
So then is this the courthouse? Really? Mm-hmm. I don't recognize this
That clock tower
Steeple or
was taken
tower?
down.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. A lot of because you even have points on this photo that I'm showing you now that were taken off for, they had a lot of leaking in the roof that happened. And
Yeah,
so
I
they
think
had
there
to,
was a lot of damage on the
yeah,
tower.
they had to take out a lot of
I
it.
suppose.
It was one of the prettiest courthouses, I think, in the state of Minnesota.
I suppose.
It's still
It
really
still is
pretty.
beautiful.
But there were a lot of people that were kind of annoyed by this building.
It's because it was so imposing.
In 1902, there was an article that came out that said there is some dissatisfaction among citizens because a new county jail is not included in the plans for a jailer's residence, which is soon to be created.
I feel like you need one without the other.
Right. For the old jail has been condemned by the State Board of Charities and Corrections and is, moreover, of ancient and discreditable appearance.
Ancient. Like, well, was it like 50 years old?
At that point, yeah, probably only. But the county board decided that $6,000 for the jailer's residence was the limit of the expenditure, and it was wise to make this year, and thus the old jail will have to suffice a while longer. The intention is, however, to soon, possibly next year, build a new and suitable jail building. And like that of the jailer's residence, it will correspond in architecture and character of material with the courthouse.
Okay, now I have to agree with some of the residents because that home is mansion-like.
Right?
Right.
I mean, that is not, a 2-bedroom,
No.
1 commode,
Yeah.
Multiple
wood
families
floor.
could live there.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. It was substantial.
yes.
Yeah, you're right. Imposing was the word.
Yes.
And it wasn't until 1915 that they actually started building a jail
Wow.
attached
Started
to
building
it.
it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right? And they said that they were planning on making it a jail building that would be second to none in the state. And they issued the amount of $20,000 to cover the cost of the new jail.
Holy cow.
In 1915 money.
And it was authorized and probably taken up by the local banks. So that was the plan, to have local banks help build the jail.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Do you know what they did before they built this one? Did they just have like a smaller jail building?
Yeah. They had the ancient one.
Gotcha. Yeah, the ancient one.
Okay.
Makes
so
sense.
can I ask this, and maybe
Yeah.
you don't know the answer.
Oh.
Our jail cell that we have in the village,
Yes.
is that from one of the first?
It's from the one that was built in 1916.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, there are photos that our lovely librarian has when I was asking her about this fireplace that we have and to give more information so that I could attach it to the item in our past perfect system. And she was showing me all of these photos, and one of them has one of our volunteers laying on one of those cell beds in the old jail.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in the 70s before it was torn down.
Wow.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love the jail cell we have.
They're cool.
Yes.
Yes, they are.
So they were still using that jail cell through the 60s.
As far as I know.
Wow.
Yeah. Unless they had changed it and just had some in that jail still like old. But
For like
I
overflow
don't,
purposes or
right?
something.
I don't know why you wouldn't change it all if you were changing
Right,
any of
right.
them. But yeah.
Well,
One of the first prisoner of the 1916 jail that was built right next, like adjacent to that sheriff's residence. There's an article that came out in 1916. It was William Pilgrim was his name. He was a Civil War veteran who was caught pigging, Pijjing, at Oakland, which meant he pleaded guilty to selling booze. But because of his advanced age, his sentence was suspended.
And it's pigging.
Yes.
Not pidging.
No. Well, I don't know, unless that's how you say it differently.
Well, you
said
say
it's with
JJ?
J's?
Yeah, it was 2 J's. At least that's how it was written.
What the heck?
But they also have...
I would think pidging.
They also have guilty written with a J.
Oh, somebody's typing fun.
Yeah.
He's typing fun.
But he enjoys the distinction of being the first prisoner in the new Freeborn County Jail.
Congratulations, Mr. Pilgrim.
Right.
The sheriff at the time, whose name is spelled Fosse, so I don't know if that's Foss or Fosse, he took compassion on the old man and fixed him up a cot in the new jail for him, although the place had not officially been approved yet. Yeah.
Did he bring in his Aunt Bee with fresh meals and?
I don't know. In the 60s and 70s, though, the family that was living in the sheriff's residence, the sheriff's family, they did have to make meals for the prisoners.
Huh.
I believe that was common back even in the 1910s and 20s.
Really?
I think.
That's crazy in my mind. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Well, that would
never would've
explain why
occurred to
they
me.
need a residence.
Yeah.
With a
Yes.
giant kitchen.
True.
They're not cooking for just the sheriff's family.
No, it's for the
Cooking.
prisoners, too.
Wow.
For the sheriff's captives.
And we have a photo from 1970 of kids in the sheriff's residence who were the kids of the sheriff. They were opening Christmas presents, and you can see the fireplace that we have on exhibit behind them with stockings
I
hanging
do
on
like
it.
that picture.
Yeah, and that was 6 years before it was all torn down. In 1976, it was torn down, and several items had been set aside before they even tore it down for the museum.
The fireplace is beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to describe it. It's the tile, the colors of the tile on there are very unique.
They're odd. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
yellow.
Well, goldish,
Yeah.
rustish. It's a kind of changes with the light. It's really pretty.
And the wood is still very glossy.
Yeah.
Like it's shiny.
And it is on display
Yes.
here in Meehan's law office.
Yes.
I knew you were going to, when you said
Sheriff's residence.
sheriff's residence, I knew she was going to go with the fireplace, which
Oh,
made
that's
it
why you went.
easy to say fire.
Yeah.
And I had a couple things I could do, but everybody's fascinated about the farmland fire.
Oh.
A lot of people still say Wilson.
Right.
So in 2001, firefighters struggled for days to get this blaze under control.
Oof.
I did not realize, I should have highlighted better, in the plant itself, there were chemicals. Ammonia hydrous was one of them.
Oh, delightful.
That they were concerned. So some people spent hours and hours trying to get the liquid out and transporting it. Yeah.
What does that chemical do?
Well, not good.
It's
not good stuff.
really bad for your lungs.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, if you breathe it in, I don't know that you survive.
Yeah.
So if it blew up, and I think it
and it's flammable.
drops. Yeah.
Oh, no.
So I did not know that about this. Also, they said put 700 people out of work. So 700 families were affected by the burning of that plant.
This is the meatpacking plant.
The
now, right?
meatpacking
Yeah.
plant. 16 fire departments responded.
Jeez.
Well, the area, this county has a lot of fire departments.
Yes.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Well, they had to be, that's more than this county.
Yeah.
It had to be Steele. I'm going to assume Mauer. I don't know. That doesn't list. I had hoped it would list which fire departments responded because I thought that was kind of interesting. Liquid oxygen and acetylene were the two other chemicals that were in the building.
Wow.
So, yeah, that could have been much more severe had those caught fire.
Right.
So it took about 3,000 gallons of water onto the inferno each minute.
Ooh, gross.
3,000.
Can you imagine the heat of standing there trying to fight it?
And several firefighters had to be treated. Nobody was permanently injured or nobody died, but some of the firefighters had to go to their day jobs. Most of these were volunteer fire. So then they were shorthanded, so had to put out another call. They called in all the police officers that were off duty for crowd control because people were pulling off they could see it off the freeway.
Sure. What's going on over here?
Right? That's people said that. I had to come and see what was happening.
Oof.
So,
I mean, that does happen. A quick aside, on the farm in this would have been 2002 or 2003, we actually had a hay shed go up in flames, and the farm is right next to the highway, and so there was somebody that came off the highway, knocked on the door because my dad didn't know that the building was on fire. He had knocked on the door. Hey, your shed's on fire. Oh, no, it's not. He takes a look. Oh, it is on fire.
it's amazing what you can see from the freeway.
Yeah. It was at night too, but still.
Fire departments, you have to, if you're a farmer, you have to get a burn permit before you start burning. And a lot of times people on the freeway will call 911. Well, they file that with 911, so apparently they could say it's a controlled burn. We're aware of it.
Sure.
Instead of sending first responders.
Right.
Smart.
Yeah. So this, I thought that's instantly went to the Wilson farmland fire. So Ron Nelson, who pulled into Albert Lee Sunday night after he saw the smoke from I-35, said, "Man, this is like something you see in the movies. I had to see what was going on." And Mayor Haukus pledged that the council would do whatever they could. They didn't want the families to be to suffer. They applied for additional unemployment for them. But sadly, it took Albert Lee years. I'm not even sure they're completely recovered from this, that they've...
Sure.
It played such an important role in this community.
Yeah.
It was definitely when I was first getting, I guess, acclimated to the area when I first came in. That was one of the things that came up as far as long-standing, history issues that could be affecting what's going on right now.
Yes. Yeah.
I'd agree too. When I first moved here, and I mean, yes, I'm at the museum, but
Right,
that was one of
yeah.
the first things that I learned about too here even. Yeah.
Well, so people talk about Wilson's, the farmland fire burning. And the unemployment.
Yep.
People talk about that devastating the businesses in town, the closing down of businesses, the high school that got torn down,
true.
and Navy Hospital. Those seem to be people that come in. Those are the hot spots for the discussions when people have. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I learned a lot. I did not know all of those things about that fire.
Wow. Well, okay, so you said fire.
Yeah.
And I had just been thinking about the sheriff's residence, and I was thinking about the fireplace. And so you said fire, and I was like, I'm still stuck on fireplace.
So you just looped back.
Yep. So I went to the Freeborn Hotel fireplace.
Which is located in the museum right next to the sheriff's fireplace, I will say.
Yep.
This popcorn right to the side here.
Yeah, I don't think that counts as a popcorn.
Hey,
that's a dead kernel.
You were so
That's one of those kernels that just spins over this way and just stops.
rude. Do you not want to know what I have to say?
No, I do. I do.
Unpopped. Repopped. So I thought about the Freeborn Hotel, which we have the fireplace and the hotel exhibit that we have, which I feel like we tend to talk about Hotel Albert a little bit more.
Yeah.
But it's split almost fairly evenly in that exhibit between Freeborn Hotel and Albert Lee. Well, and Hotel Albert. And so we have the fireplace, the front desk. We have fobs from Freeborn Hotel, which also used to be...
I don't think they called them fobs.
What did they call
Doesn't
them?
a fob open a door?
Yeah.
I think it would be like a key tag.
But they're
You're talking about
big.
the little thing that has the hotel room on it?
Would that be a key tag?
I think it would be a key tag. I don't
think
think
about-
they'd call it a
Yeah,
fob.
I think about paper if you call it a tag.
All hotels used to have those big chunky things that you couldn't walk away with because they wouldn't fit in your pocket nice.
Oh, that's smart.
Like the hall passes going to the bathroom in high school.
Yes, yes.
Well, okay.
Or what Joanne Fabric still uses for bathroom keys.
Dollar General usually uses rulers.
Can't fit that in a pocket.
Nope. All right. So, anyways, we have key tags
Yes.
from the Freeborn Hotel, which also is called the Hall House. We also have a switchboard that is out in the back of the general store, the telephone office area.
I remember that.
That was also at the Hall House. And that this hotel was originally Frank Hall's home in 1866 or 1867 about. And within 4 years, he remodeled it and then ran it as a hotel. He had a man named Foster, was the first landlord for the entire hotel, and then he eventually assumed charge himself and ran it for over 30 years. And it was a 3-story brick building. It had 33 guest rooms and was near
Really? 33?
Yeah. Like
Wow.
right away in the late 1800s, right away.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was near a central part of the city, and it had a reputation of being a good hotel. Yeah, he himself was the first mayor of Albert Lea.
I was gonna ask, why do I recognize that name?
Well, we also have Frank Hall Park,
Yeah.
so that's him too. He married a woman named Miss Maggie Foster, and they came together and opened the hotel together. And he also raised the company in the spring of 1862. He raised a company in the 5th Minnesota Volunteer Infantry, of which he was captain. Yeah. So he was in the Civil War as well.
Did he ride a horse?
Well, probably.
He was a captain. I mean, I don't know.
Stretching. I should say there was a career of 46 years where the Hotel Freeborn was open, and it was also called the Historic Hall House. And under his management, there's an article that states that it was a handsome location with attractiveness and home-like allurements, as well as having a capacity and admirable conveniences. And so it became noted throughout the state, and in fact throughout the entire then Western country, and its hospitalities were enjoyed by many famous men. So the people that were listed are a lot of politicians, a lot of governors and senators and House of Representatives. And they had banquets and social functions. And we also, I believe, if I'm correct, we have a horse drinking trough from outside
Do we?
of this hotel.
Maybe that's why somebody said horses.
Did you like that segue? Did I set you up well enough?
That was a good segue.
You're welcome.
I wasn't going to talk about the horse trough, though, because I found so many fun little tidbitty things. I shouldn't say I found them, because Linda, the librarian, really found them.
She always does. So good.
Horse racing was so popular in Freeborn County back in the 1800s. It's everywhere. So I have a whole bunch of different things I could talk about here. What really piqued my curiosity, though, there's a poem. Dr. Ballard's poem refers principally to a noted horse race which took place in Itasca in 1860. Like all other horse races, only one party came off victorious. The poem will tell the story. And this poem was read at the Old Settlers meeting, which was tea and coffee, and people got together and talked about what was happening in the cities. So he delivered this poem during the Old Settlers of Freeborn County at their annual gathering. It's kind of long, but it's kind of fun.
Okay.
So I'm not going to read all of it, but some of this is really interesting. The deacon said the fight was long and tough, that Albert Lea was poor and unprepared. Itasca, her competitor, was rough and ready too, so Deacon Prim declared. Itasca too was rich, so he avowed, above the average of frontier towns, and summing up her wealth, he first allowed a patent brick machine of 2 horsepower. A mighty power for evil, the old man said, when brick were scarce and wanted every hour, to top off chimneys, for them votes were paid to be delivered in Itasca's favor. And it goes on to a few other things, and then it starts to talk about a conspiracy.
Ooh.
So, conning over the aspects of the case, they came unanimously to this conclusion that public morals required another race. Advantage should be taken of the delusion that Sheriff Heath's Red Tom could always win. By benting him, they'd bring to dire confusion the folks in Albert Lee. 'Twould be no sin. They said to cheat those sinners, especially if Itasca's men were winners. They'd buy Old Fly, a mare of reputation, whose 4 white feet for years had earned the fame of being the fleetest feet in all creation. They'd paint those feet, and then they'd change her name. So they were going to, I'm guessing this is where the story of the horse race for the county seat came from.
I was going to bring that up earlier.
Even though there's no
Concrete evidence.
concrete evidence, but this really talks about that. Forewarned, forearmed, the plot with trick beneath was whispered round to faithful friends a few, with whom a consultation soon was had. And when the teller had told all he knew, Prim said, "Those honest folks got awful mad, and solemnly they vowed the wicked trick should cost Itasca all they dared to bet, including that machine for making brick, and that all wagers offered should be met, provided first that they were satisfied. Red Tom was sure to beat Old Fly when tried." And this goes on and on. I can't imagine him reading this. There's paragraph after paragraph of this witty exchange.
Wow.
So somehow it's implied that Itasca was going to trick Albert Lee, but then Albert Lee tricked Itasca, and that's how, supposedly, according to Prim, the county seat.
Pulled a little sneaky on you.
Yeah. It's really fun. I think somewhere we'll find a spot to maybe put it up with a QR code so people can read it.
Oh,
There
yeah.
you go.
Yeah, so that was my horse story.
Like in the wagon shop?
Oh, the wagon shop.
blacksmith?
That would be great to put that
Ooh.
up with a photo. I wonder if we could find photos. Is that you telling me you want some popcorn? Cookie Monster?